The future of the Las Vegas Raiders is very uncertain, and also the future of the defensive side of the football is very uncertain. I mean, for one, we don't know what's going to happen with Antonio Pierce, and ultimately, if he did end up getting fired, then more than likely we are going to get a new defensive coordinator, bringing a whole new scheme on the defensive side of the football. But even if Antonio Pierce were to stay, the future of Patrick Graham seems very uncertain as well. Patrick Graham's contract expires at the end of this season, and he has not signed any type of contract extension. Raiders beat writer Hondo Carpenter asked him about his future and whether or not he wants to come back to the silver and black.
But Vinny asked you about coming back. You've done a tremendous job here. Is coming back to the Raiders something that you'd be desirous of?
I love the relationship with the players and this organization, but I'm focused on the Chargers. But the misnomer or the miscalculation of it being a great job, I got to do a better job, period, point blank. That's how I judge it.
So let me know what y'all think about his response. But what I noticed is, he didn't answer that question at all. That was a very vague response, and he simply just said that he's focusing on this week against the Chargers. So does Patrick Graham know something we don't? Here's the thing. Even if Antonio Pierce does come back, Antonio Pierce, he signed a 2-year contract, so he's only going to be guaranteed next season. And in that scenario, Patrick Graham may be looking for a job offer that's going to give him more job security, because I don't see him signing a 1-year extension. And it just seems to me very logical that if Antonio Pierce were to leave the Raiders, very likely Patrick Graham's going to be gone as well. This may be the perfect opportunity for him to seek out other opportunities and potentially a job that'll give him more security down the road for his future. And currently the Raiders are just in a tough spot, because not only is the defensive coordinator a question mark for next season, the head coach as well, but there also are a lot of players on the defensive side of the football that their contracts expire at the end of the season, and the Raiders are going to have to make a decision on these guys. The list of players that are on their last year of the contracts include cornerback Nate Hobbs, linebacker Robert Saleh, defensive tackle Adam Butler, safety Trayvon Merrick, edge rusher Malcolm Koonce, linebacker Divine Diablo, and safety Marcus Epps. So these guys are all going to be question marks, and we're going to have to make a decision on them. Now, the good thing, though, is the Raiders, we do have a lot of cap space, but at the same time, we have a lot of needs. Also, Max Crosby hinted at the fact that he wants his contract to be restructured, renegotiated. He doesn't have any more guaranteed money on his deal. So yeah, the Raiders do have a lot of money, but at the same time, that money can go by very quickly. They're going to have to prioritize who they want to bring back from this list. They also are going to have to address some needs through free agency as well to fill out the roster. So just a lot of question marks here. And when you talk about that list, there definitely are quite a few guys that I would like to see us bring back, but it's going to be tricky as well, because they're guys that you necessarily can't pay too much for. And the first guy, Nate Hobbs. I really like Nate Hobbs. I like his game. He has played very well for us at the slot cornerback position, and that's a tough position to replace. But at the same time, Nate Hobbs is a guy that has been missing a lot of time due to injuries. And Nate Hobbs is just a player that in 3 straight seasons from 2022 to 2024, in each of those seasons, he has missed games due to injuries. So he's a really good player. I want to bring him back to this roster, but at the same time, he's a guy that you cannot overpay for. So that's going to be tricky. What's going to be the sweet spot for his contract? He plays a valuable position, but at the same time, your best ability is availability, and he's been missing some time on the field. Another guy that's super interesting is our edge rusher, Malcolm Koonce. Now, Malcolm Koonce last season broke out, and he looked like he could have been a legit force off of the opposite side of Max Crosby. He had a monster season last year, but unfortunately for him, he was unable to play one single down in the regular season as he suffered a season-ending ACL injury. So there's a couple different factors with Malcolm Koonce. First and foremost, it's the fact that he's coming off of a big injury, and simply put, the Raiders aren't going to know how well he's going to recover from this injury, whether or not that injury will slow him down physically. So that's a big question mark right there. You're always going to run some risk if you pay a guy a lot of money coming off of a big injury like that. And another thing too is you don't have a big sample size of him playing at a high level, because in his first 2 years in the league, he didn't really play at all. And even in 2023 last season, early on, he didn't really play. He started to get more and more snaps here and there as the season progressed. But as soon as Antonio Pierce took over as the Raiders interim head coach, that's when he got moved into the starting lineup, and that's when he started to cook. That's when he started to break out for the Raiders. So yes, I mean, essentially, he's only had half of a season where he's played at a high level. So for those reasons, he's coming off of injury. He only has half a season of great tape out there. For those reasons as well, the Raiders are going to have to watch out to not overpay a guy like him. So it's another guy that you're going to have to find a sweet spot to see if you can bring him back on the football field. Also, too, the Raiders have had some interesting acquisitions at the edge rusher position with K'Lavon Chaisson as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle the Malcolm Koonce situation. Ideally for me, hopefully we could sign him to like a 1-year type of prove-it deal where he could, have a chance to come back. And if he plays anywhere close to how he played last season down the stretch, then he's going to be due for a massive payday. But it's another guy that I would love to see us bring back. Robert Saleh has also been a great signing for us. He's a fan favorite. He's a true leader of this defense. He is the captain, the leader of that linebacker group. So you would love to see him come back as well. But he's also a guy that, just depending on who the defensive coordinator is, he may or may not be a scheme fit. But I would like to see him back, but it's just a big question mark as well, just because we don't know what the future of this defense is going to look like next season. And obviously you got other guys like Adam Butler, a veteran. Will he be a fit? Maybe they'll want to get younger at that position. Trayvon Merrick also is a solid safety as well. I think you should be able to get him back for a decent price. And then you got guys like Divine Diablo. He's sort of on the bubble on whether or not they would re-sign him. And then a guy like Marcus Epps, I think more than likely if Patrick Graham is gone, he more than likely will leave as well. So it's just going to be an interesting offseason for the Raiders. First, we got to figure out what are we going to do at the head coaching position, and then what is going to happen with this defense. And depending on what happens at the defensive coordinator position, that could really shake up the personnel on this defense. There may be a lot of players that are brand new on this team next season, so that's something to seriously consider. And if Patrick Graham were to leave, I mean, we definitely got to start considering some options at the defensive coordinator position. I mean, do the Raiders just promote internal coach like Rob Leonard, defensive line coach of the Raiders, who has done a phenomenal job in his tenure with this defensive line group? Do they go that route, or do they go and try to get aggressive and try to get a defensive coordinator, a guy with experience? And one guy that I would be really excited about is if we could get former New York Jets head coach Robert Saleh. I mean, Robert Saleh has a solid track record in the NFL. From 2011 to 2012, he was a part of that Legion of Boom as a defensive quality control coach. He was a linebackers coach from 2014 to 2016, and then was the San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator from 2017 to 2020. He led that defense to the Super Bowl in that 2019 to 2020 season, and their defenses have been known for their aggressiveness, their versatility, and their resilience. And of course, he was also a head coach for the New York Jets, where it really didn't work out for him. His first season, he went 4-13, and then went back-to-back years with a 7-10 record until this season, where Aaron Rodgers essentially kicked them out of New York. And you saw the New York Jets defense took a massive hit as soon as he left. Currently, Saleh is taking a role with the Green Bay Packers as a consultant. So I think if the opportunity presented itself, if he had a legit opportunity to return as a defensive coordinator, he would most definitely consider it. And he's just a guy that, he's been known for his energetic and passionate coaching style. His defenses are typically aggressive, utilizing a variety of defensive fronts and coverages to confuse opposing NFL offenses, and he has a reputation for connecting with players on a personal level. But ultimately, we'll just have to see what happens at the defensive coordinator position. Patrick Graham, I think overall he's done a solid job for the Raiders. He hasn't been great, he hasn't been terrible. but he definitely has been a major upgrade to the previous defensive coordinators we've had in the past. And I do appreciate everything he's done for the Raiders, but to me it seems like Patrick Graham's days in the silver and black are numbered. I think there's a good chance he's not going to come back next year, and that's where the Raiders, we're going to have a lot of decisions to make on the defensive side of the football. But Raider Nation, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think Patrick Graham is gone next season? If so, who would you want to be the new defensive coordinator for this football team? Let me know in that comment section down below. But with that being said, Raider Nation, that's all for you guys in today's video. Anybody that's new to the channel, you guys love Raider related content just like this, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. That being said, I will see you guys in the next one.